My father doesn't want to hear we got 100 more LinkedIn followers this month. He's not going to celebrate that with you. He's going to celebrate the fact that all the work you are doing led up. Like, you can actually still present those metrics, but that pipeline metric should be there regardless. Practically every marketer should try as much as possible to calculate how much pipeline you are bringing in directly from the activities you are doing.
Hi, welcome to the EarlyStage Marketer Podcast, where I speak to marketers in the trenches doing the work. In just 20 minutes, you hear the story of one challenge they faced, how they navigated it, and what they learned from it. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and share with a friend.
I'm so happy you're here, and I'm even more excited about what you want to talk about. It's such an interesting topic, communicating the impact of your work. So, So let me start with going back to that moment when you realized that you weren't adequately, or maybe you weren't even communicating the impact of your work, right? So what was happening? Was there like a moment when you realized, oh my God, I'm not communicating? It's like I'm operating a task-based system. There's something I like to call a task-based system, where you say, I posted on LinkedIn, I sent out the email. So was there a story around where this stuff clicked, that you weren't talking about the impact of your work? What was happening at that time?
There's definitely a story behind it. And
Yeah,
I would
we
say
want
it's
to hear
more
it.
like, so pretty much, I wouldn't say I was operating in like task-based like reporting. I definitely wasn't saying I posted on LinkedIn or I sent out this email, but I was more like, I was communicating like content results and not necessarily business results.
Impact.
And at the time, I was working under a head of marketing, and it was pretty much the head of marketing's job to communicate all of that. Like, all of the, like, basically like tying your like content and the actual work we were doing to business impact. At the time, it was not my business. My business was to do the work. Right. And then call it, do the work. These were our open rates. These were our, impressions, engagement rates, yada, 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 all of that on LinkedIn and so on. Then my manager left, my head of marketing left. And the CEO started asking me questions that I didn't have answers to. Right. So I would say the situation kind of forced me to figure out a way, because at the time, like, I don't know if anyone listening has ever been in a situation where like there was kind of like somebody in your team leaves and it just kind of looks like there's a whole restructuring in the company, and like, oh, you're not really sure what's going on anymore. Is my role even still safe? Is leadership going to wake up one day and realize that they don't need me anymore and stuff like that? So when my manager left, that was kind of how I felt. I was like, oh, I don't have anybody to advocate for me anymore. I don't have anybody to do the whole translation of like, yes, the marketing team did this week, but then this is what it's, led to in terms of business impact. I didn't have anybody to do all of that. All of that was my responsibility, or I wouldn't be able to communicate that I was actually doing something in the company. You can't tell your CEO that, oh, I posted 5 times on LinkedIn this week, or oh, we got 2 viral posts on LinkedIn this week. We got our engagement rates increased from 10% to 20%. Who cares? Right? So that was pretty much the situation that forced me into thinking in business impact and not thinking in like content results.
Okay. One thing you told me when we were trying to agree on what we're going to talk about was that you kind of created this framework to help you, improve your reporting. So can you share this framework? So in fact, this question is quite tactical, because when I was thinking about, of course, with help from ChatGPT, full disclosure, when I was thinking about how to structure the questions, I wanted to niche down or hammer on your frameworks, because I was thinking, if someone listens to this and then they aren't doing this yet, or they're struggling with communicating their work in terms of business impact, I want them to live with a framework of, okay, this is what Reme did 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to try this next week and see how it works out for me. So can you walk me through your framework? Like, are there stages? What do you do at each one? And then you can just cap it with giving us an example of running a marketing activity through all this framework and through each of the stages.
Sure, makes sense.
Okay.
So yes, I do have a framework. And with the help of Claude, I kind of just like brain dumped what I do, and Claude helped me structure it into something that sounds amazing, right? So I would say there's like 3 stages. There's one called
Okay.
trace, the second one is
Yeah.
called translate, and then the third one is called tell.
Okay.
I'll spend the most time on the trace one because that's where the bulk of the work really is. And then for the trace one, I would first tell everybody to imagine or visualize a marketing funnel, a typical marketing funnel, or top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. Visualize a typical marketing funnel. Now, let's invert that funnel and then let's think about whatever your business wants to achieve that quarter, that year, that month, whatever it is. Right. Let's say your business wants to achieve, like as a marketing, let's say as a marketing department, your job is to come up with qualified leads, transfer to sales, and then sales tries to convert them into customers. Let's say you're working in that kind of like B2B space, and that's typically what you need to do. So in that funnel, your own bottom of the funnel, but like I said, is inverted. So we're starting from the bottom now. We're basically like reverse engineering what we're trying to do. Right. So we're starting from those leads. Now think about what your job entails. What are the things you do that would typically, like, what do you describe, leads as in your company? What are the things you would do that would probably lead to someone becoming a lead? A very good example, when I was at React Squad, at the time, yes, my job was to come up with leads. Leads were, we would describe a lead as someone that signs up for a demo, right? So how would someone get to subscribe for a demo? Get to ask how would someone get to sign up for a demo? They would have to get to the website first. So, then how will somebody get to the websites? What are the different marketing channels that I'm responsible for that could potentially lead someone to the websites? At the time I was handling my founder's LinkedIn, I was also overseeing his personal brand on YouTube. So the person, as the things I'm directly responsible for, they're either coming from LinkedIn to the website or they're coming from YouTube to the websites. What would push them to get to the websites from whatever LinkedIn content or YouTube content? And that's how things would, typically go, right? An impression, somebody watches the video or somebody sees a LinkedIn post. Maybe from then on they comment. Somebody comments, somebody did, somebody does. On LinkedIn, they go to your profile.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in your founder's profile, in his about section, the link in his LinkedIn bio, right under his headline, maybe even in the header, everything has reactsquad.io, React Squad, the link, everything, it's all right there. So you're trying to get profile views, mostly. You're trying to get people to pay attention to your content enough that they are curious enough to be like, oh yeah, who's this guy anyway? What this guy is saying kind of sounds like it makes sense. And then they are clicking on his profile and then they are seeing what he's about. And then they are probably going to the websites, right? So like reverse engineering, stuff like that. Now you've come up with like the trace, like you've done the trace work. You've come up with your own funnel of what you have to do to get someone to book a demo on the websites.
Yeah.
Somebody else that is like an SEO manager, or let's even say a proper traditional content, because I'm a content marketer, but I've not worked on a blog in a while. Like I've mostly been focusing on like LinkedIn, founder personal brands, YouTube in the past couple of years of my career. But let's say traditional content marketer, you're working on SEO, you're working on the blog. Somebody would have to look at your blog posts, find your blog post interesting enough to probably click on the CTA or click through other blog posts, yada, 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 and then go to the part of your website so that they can book a demo. That's probably or likely what is going on there. Pretty much the same thing. It's like your funnel from blog posts to CTA click to demo. The LinkedIn, from viewing your posts to viewing your profile to clicking on the CTA, then demo.
Yep.
Pretty much same thing on YouTube. So now you've traced all of that. That middle of the funnel, the kind of metrics that you now need to track alongside your actual metrics. On LinkedIn, things like profile views.
Yeah.
Right. Like you can, when you are trying to explain how much impact a post is getting, you can now think about like impressions, engagement. You can see all of that, like, oh yeah, these things are increasing, which is a good sign. But at the end of the day, that's not very, like, your CEO does not care that you have 10 million impressions on LinkedIn if his calendar, like my CEO used to handle sales himself. If his calendar is empty and there are no sales calls on there, it's not his business that, there are 10 million impressions on LinkedIn and whatever. He cares that people are booking sales calls. How are people going to book sales calls? They are going to go to your profile first, very likely, right? So you can now report things like profile views. And profile views are very easy to tie into, or if 10,000 people are going to your profile, maybe you are working on having a conversion rate of at least 10%. You say, okay, if 10,000 people like this, at least 100 people will book a demo. Stuff like that, right? So pay attention to that metric that is at that middle of funnel, pretty much. Then what you would do next is you will translate. So when I say translate, it's pretty much trying to organize your thoughts and make sure that whatever metrics that you are, like I said, you can't tell your CEO, or rather, your CEO probably doesn't care that you are getting 10 million impressions or whatever comments on LinkedIn. So you're basically trying to translate what you're doing into like business language. So instead of saying things like, we published 4 blog posts this month, you are saying things like, we published 4 blog posts that target our top 3 ICP pain points. 2 of them are now ranking page 1 on LinkedIn. They have blah, blah, blah. And then we've, tracked that the people that viewed those blog posts have gotten to our demo page, yada, yada, yada. Different activities. And that's why part of what I'll say, there's a framework, yes, but then I can't lie, tools also matter. And I'll get to that. And then the last one is like tell. So basically you're trying to now explain like whatever you are seeing or whatever you're, the metrics that you're talking about, depending on who it is you're talking to. If you're talking to your CEO, like I said, you are going straight to like results. Like, okay, I know that this particular post brought in 3 leads. This particular post brought in 4 leads. If you're talking to a head of sales, he wants to know the quality of the leads. He wants to hear things like, we switched our strategy to target this particular pain point and this particular pain point so that these are the kind of leads that you are getting and not these other kind of leads that are probably not beneficial to the business or probably won't close, right? A CFO wants to know about how much you're spending on all of these things. Oh, yes, exactly. This is how much we spent on this influencer collaboration on LinkedIn and blah, 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 blah. And viewing the results, we would calculate the pipeline generated from this post at this amount of $300,000 or whatever. You say, oh yeah, an influencer collaboration on LinkedIn generated $300,000 in pipeline, and you spend $5,000 on the LinkedIn posts. Your CFO is smiling at you. Well done, right? So that's pretty much what I would say. To give like a fully fledged example, like I said, I was mostly running LinkedIn content for my founder. So if you run it through Trace, the goal is pipeline. The goal is like create contents that made qualified people aware of us and interested in us. And how did we, like I said, we'll talk about tools. So I had LinkedIn. I had done the whole Trace work and everything. And I had figured out the whole profile views thing. People that viewed our profiles, or whenever we create a very direct, specific ICP pain point post and an ICP profile comments, like an agreeable comment, or they react on the post, then I know that person is interested. I know that's someone that I need to strike up a conversation with, or I know that's someone that I might, add to our CRM that like, let's enrich this lead and set up like an outreach campaign to this person, because for this person to have viewed the profile from this post, then this person is interested in what we're doing or what we're talking about here. So, like I said, I started from all of that. And then I would create posts talking about specific founder pain points. For example, Chore is an operation service for startups. And under operation service, there are a bunch of different services that Chore renders. There's HR, there's US compliance, like filing your taxes, doing all of those things. There's hiring, all of those things that Chore does, right? And then I would create posts based on these different pain points. I still had a tool that would help you with this, because we had this tool called Amdown that was connected to our CRM that you could ask questions like Amdown, AMDAHL. That was connected to our CRM that you could ask questions like, what are the 3 top services that we've closed the fastest for this quarter or something? And then Amdown will tell you, I've analyzed 15 of your sales calls are the ones that close the fastest. And I found out that most of them come in because they're having trouble with payroll. So then I know that we need to create posts about payroll, because it's like founders are really struggling with payroll, right? Yes. So pretty much create posts about payroll. So I know any founder that kind of like likes the post, comments on the post, views my founder's profile from that post is probably struggling with payroll. I add the person to our CRM using there's like this plugin called Surf, You can connect it to your CRM, whether you're using Pipedrive, HubSpot, all the major CRMs, but we're using Pipedrive. Connect it to your CRM. so that anytime you see like somebody's profile on LinkedIn, all you have to do is like a Chrome extension. So you can just like click a button and it automatically adds the person to your CRM and also enriches the person's profile on your CRM as a lead. So from LinkedIn, you also get the person's email, probably phone number. If your company does like cold calls and stuff like that, you get the person's phone number as well and get the person's email. Then from there, you can now add notes about the person. So if I see the person has viewed my founder's profile, I can strike up a conversation with the person, ask them about their business, ask them about like how they currently run payroll. If they can now add all of those notes about the kind of conversations we've had and the kind of responses the person has given me, using Surf to the CRM, and then I can like tag a salesperson. So a salesperson can pretty much like take it off from there. Their email is right there. They've clearly told me what they are struggling with or what their pain points is, or rather they've told my founder.
Sorry to interrupt, Reme.
Right?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
the conversation from LinkedIn, like LinkedIn comments, when you say you add the conversation you guys have had, are you referring to comments they left on your LinkedIn posts or sales conversations?
So usually I was proactive enough to reach out to people after they comment. If they comment something that's like, oh my God, such a valuable post, I've been like struggling with payroll right now and this really helped me, I would definitely DM them because that's someone that needs chore. So then I would add both the comments and the DM, the direct message conversation to our CRM so that our salesperson can see what's exactly, like can see the context pretty much. And then they know how exactly to reach out to this person so that they hit that pain point to make the person convert like as fast as possible. Right. So all of these things we're kind of calculating. We know how much like the average deal value is. Or eventually, if they get to actually bring the person on a sales call, then we know what the actual deal value is. We know, then we're able to calculate the value of the pipeline that I brought in. Pretty much. Like, you know, let's say our average deal value is like $5,000, right? Or let's say $5,000 times 12. Let's say the person is a customer for a year, $60,000. And I bring in like 5 of those people every month. Then you can say I'm bringing in like $300,000 in pipeline. By the time you think about like how much my salary is versus that 300K I'm bringing in pipeline, it's like, this girl is really valuable to us because look at all the stuff she's doing just for posting on LinkedIn. And those are the kind of things that my founder wants to hear. My founder doesn't want to hear we got 100 more LinkedIn followers this month. He's not going to celebrate that with you. He's going to celebrate the fact that all the work you are doing led up to, like, you can actually still present those metrics, but that pipeline metric should be there regardless. I feel like practically every marketer should try as much as possible to calculate how much pipeline. I would say pipeline. Pipeline is more of like a B2B thing, for a B2B marketer. But calculate how much pipeline you are bringing in directly from like the activities you are doing. If you are creating blog posts, even if you are posting Instagram content, all of those things, try as much as like use AI, talk to Claude or ChatGPT or whatever and ask like, this is what I do, this is what my company does. How can I calculate pipeline from there? Now, like at the end of every Monday when we're doing stand-up and we're talking about our activities the week before, I'm not saying things like we got 10 new followers last week. I'm saying things like we had 3 inbound inquiries this week, or we had 3 inbound leads, people that just out of the blue DM'd my founder because they know that this is what he does and they wanted this kind of service. And, you know, we've qualified those leads and we've figured out that those leads are this amount of money in pipeline. Sometimes you don't even have to go as far as calculating this amount of money in pipeline, but if you just say the amount of leads, it's cool. Calculating the money mostly just makes it sound like an even bigger achievement because you can, if you're working for a company that has like an expensive service or an expensive tool, saying like, oh, we got 3 leads last week can sound, you know, crazy. But then you might end up calculating the pipeline and find out that those 3 leads could be like $50,000 in pipeline, $100,000 in pipeline, and that sounds better than saying 3 leads. So, like I said, as much as possible, everybody needs to learn how to, you know, calculate all of that. So yeah, that's pretty much, I would say, in a nutshell, the kind of framework I came up with.
Thank you, Reme. Very tactical stuff. Okay, so this is our last question before we go to our rapid fire questions. So you said something, let me read it out. This skill is what separates marketers who go into leadership from those who don't. So what does this skill unlock for marketers? So let's say there's marketer A and there's marketer B and they are all starting from the same place. and then this person learns how to, speak the business language. So what skill does it unlock for this person? And that's the first thing. It's just a kind of 2-in-1 questions. And then what tiny change can someone make towards building this skill? Assuming they have none of it right now.
So pretty much I would say the skill is moving from reporting, like giving activity-based reports to results-based reports. Or I'll even go a step further and say business results-based reports, because you could say results is like higher email open rates or click rates or something. And that the business doesn't care about that per se. So, and I would say what it unlocks is that you move from becoming a cost center or something the business has to spend money on to a strategic
value
asset
center
for your business. Yes, or a value center. Thank you for your business. That's pretty much what it looks like. Like if you are an email marketer, for example, you are constantly running email campaigns, or maybe you're using this expensive email tool, or you're a life cycle marketer using this expensive tool, running email campaigns, blah, blah, blah. Your company right now is thinking of you like, if they don't know the impact behind what you're doing, if you're not reporting it, they're thinking of you like, this person, you have to pay their salary every month and we don't know what they are doing. Like when it's time to lay off people, you can be one of the people they lay off because they're like, we're not really sure, what the impact of what this person is doing is.
Thank you. Very insightful answer. And then there's one thing you didn't touch. Let me just pull you back to it. So if someone...
the tiny change you have to make, right?
Yes, just one, very tiny baby change, baby step you can take this week.
I would say, like, to put it in plain terms, to stop reporting what you did and start reporting what happened because of what you did.
You did. I like that. Stop reporting what you did and start reporting what happened because of what you did. Very perfect.
Yeah. So instead of like, I posted 10 LinkedIn posts last week.
Yeah.
I posted 10 LinkedIn posts last week, and here is what happened. Here's what moved because I posted 10 LinkedIn posts last week. That would help you. That's a good place to start.
All right. Thank you, Reme. Very cool stuff. Okay, let's get to the good parts. Our rapid fire questions. So, there is no wrong answer. There is no right answer. It's just, I don't want to call it hot takes, but it's just your POV, a hill you're willing to die on. I think the first question, we must have answered it one way or the other in the course of this conversation. But I guess your answer will just be this one line.
I was going to
punchy
give
stuff. Yeah. So the first one is, what's one thing that instantly makes a marketer look junior?
Reporting activity instead of impacts.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Should every marketer... Okay, before I ask you this question, right, I'm going to kind of provide... Now, this is not rapid fire anymore, but let me give you the background why I'm asking this. When you do some brand campaigns, sometimes there's no direct correlation to revenue. For instance, if you set up Facebook ads, there is a direct line to revenue. You can measure it. But when you run some brand campaigns, there's no like straight line to revenue. Okay, brand campaigns. So should every marketer be accountable for revenue?
Accountable, yes. Solely responsible,
no. Okay, I love that. If I ask you to drill deeper, it's no longer a rapid fire question. So maybe when I post it on LinkedIn, I will tag you so you drill deeper.
No problem.
This is a good one. Okay, a book or podcast or person who has shaped how you think about marketing. In fact, bonus point if they're not a marketer, that has shaped and influenced how you think about marketing.
Fortunately, the person is a marketer. I would say Amanda. Like, I hope I'm not murdering her last name.
Yeah.
I think she's called Amanda Natividad or Natividad.
Oh, yeah. Sparktoro.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Sparktoro, zero click marketing.
Yeah.
Really, really, really shaped how I thought about marketing, because I mean, before anyway, it's not rapid fire again. Full stop.
Yeah, full
Amanda
stop.
Natividad because of zero click marketing.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Perfect.
Let me not dive in.
Yeah. Oh my God. Thank you. There are just 3 of them. Reme, I've had fun. Fun talking to you. It was such an easy conversation. But most importantly, I learned so much talking to you. So thank you for giving me your evening. Thank you so much.
And thank you too.
Yeah.
It's been nice talking to you as well. This was very fun. Yes.
Yeah, it was an enlightening. We'll be in touch. Take care. Good night.
No worries. Yeah. Bye. Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Thank you for listening to the Early Stage Marketer Podcast. I hope today's story gave you something to reflect on, or even something to try in your own work. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with someone who might find it helpful. See you next time.